The last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around. Part 1. The first shadow. 2,000 words. The rain tapped against the window like skeletal fingers, a relentless rhythm that filled the silence of your empty apartment. You sat curled up on the couch, the glow of your laptop casting long, wavering shadows across the walls. It was one of those nights, the kind where the world outside felt too distant, too hollow, and the only company you had was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of old floorboards settling. You hadn't noticed it at first. It was just another shadow, blending into the darkness behind you. But then you caught a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye, something shifting when nothing else had. Your fingers paused over the keyboard. The air grew heavier, thick with the scent of damp wood, and something else, something metallic. You told yourself it was nothing, just the storm playing tricks on your tired mind. But then you saw it again. A shadow, long, distorted, stretching across the far wall. It didn't move like yours should. It didn't follow your motions. Instead, it lingered, tilting its head as if studying you. Your breath hitched. Your reflection in the blackened screen of your laptop showed only you. And yet, the shadow on the wall had no source, no body to cast it. A whisper brushed against your ear, so faint you might have imagined it. Don't turn around. Your blood turned to ice. Part 2. The whisper in the dark. 2,000 words. The voice hadn't come from outside. It hadn't come from the TV or some forgotten app left running. It had come from right behind you. You didn't move. You didn't dare. Your fingers dug into the edge of the couch, knuckles white. The shadow on the wall twitched, its elongated fingers curling like claws. The rain outside grew louder, pounding in time with your heartbeat. You feel it, don't you? The voice murmured, closer now. The words slithered into your ears, sticky and unnatural. The weight of my breath on your neck, the way the air gets colder when I'm near. You squeezed your eyes shut. This isn't real. This isn't happening. But the shadow on the wall, its shadow, leaned forward, its hollow eyes boring into yours through the reflection. Then, the worst part, you felt it. A hand, cold, skeletal, brushed against your shoulder. You screamed. You whipped around, heart hammering, ready to face whatever nightmare had invaded your home. But there was nothing there, just an empty room, and the shadow on the wall, now standing right beside yours. Part 3. The thing that watches. 2,000 words. Sleep was impossible after that. Every time you closed your eyes, you saw it. The way the shadow had moved, the way it had smiled at you before vanishing. You checked every corner, every closet, under the bed. Nothing. Just the oppressive silence and the creeping dread that you were no longer alone. Days passed. The shadow didn't return. You almost convinced yourself it had been a hallucination. Then, one night, you woke up gasping. Something was in your room. You could feel it. The way the darkness seemed to pulse, to breathe. The air was thick, suffocating. Your skin prickled with the weight of unseen eyes. Slowly, trembling, you looked toward the wall beside your bed. And there it was, the shadow. Only this time, it wasn't alone. Dozens of them lined the walls, their hollow faces turned toward you. And at the foot of your bed, one leaned down, its jagged mouth stretching into a grin. "We've been waiting," it whispered. Your scream was swallowed by the dark. Mum dices. Conclusion. The final shadow. Final 2,000 words. You never sleep in the dark anymore. The lights stay on. The TV hums static. You keep mirrors covered because you're too afraid of what might stare back. But sometimes, when the rain falls just right, you see them, lurking, waiting, and you hear the whisper that chills you to the bone. Don't turn around. Because you know what happens if you do. The last shadow in your room isn't yours, and it hungers. End. Would you like me to expand on any section or adjust the tone further? This script is designed to keep viewers on edge, with escalating tension and a lingering sense of dread, perfect for a rainy night alone. The last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around. Expanded story, 1,000 words. The unseen hand. The doctors called it sleep paralysis. Stress, they said. Your mind playing tricks. But you knew better, because the shadow wasn't just in your room at night anymore. It followed you. At first, it was subtle. A flicker in the corner of your eye when you walked past a darkened hallway. A faint breath against your neck in a crowded elevator. You'd spin around, heart racing, only to find empty air. People started noticing. Your co-workers whispered when you flinched at nothing. Your friends asked if you were okay. You weren't. Then came the photographs. It started with a selfie you took in your bathroom. Just you, grinning at the camera, the mirror behind you reflecting the shower curtain. But when you looked closer, there was a hand, pale, skeletal fingers curling around the edge of the curtain, as if something had been standing there, just out of sight, watching you the whole time. You deleted the photo. But the next one was worse. A group shot at a friend's birthday party. Everyone smiling, drinks raised. But in the background, near the open closet door, a shadow stood, tall, thin, its face a blur of darkness, except for the eyes. 2 pinpricks of light staring straight at the camera, straight at you. You showed it to your friend. "What shadow?" they asked, squinting. You pointed. They frowned. "There's nothing there." But you could see it, clear as day, and you knew it wanted you to see it. The whispers grow louder. Sleep became a battleground. You tried everything. Sleeping pills, white noise machines, leaving the lights on. But the moment your eyelids grew heavy, the whispers started. "You're tired. Just close your eyes." A voice like dry leaves scraping against glass. Then the pressure. Something sitting on the edge of your bed. The slow, deliberate dip of the mattress as it leaned closer. "Let me in." You jerk awake, gasping, drenched in sweat. One night you woke up to the sound of scratching, slow, methodical, like something dragging its nails down the wall beside your bed. You lay frozen, listening as it moved. Thump, drag, thump, drag, across the room. Then silence, a cold breath against your ear. "I'm here." You didn't scream, you didn't dare. The reflection that stares back. The mirror was the final warning. You avoided them when you could, but one morning, brushing your teeth, you made the mistake of looking up. Your reflection stared back. But something was off. Your eyes were wrong, too dark, too wide. And then, your reflection smiled. Not your smile. Something sharper, hungrier. You stumbled back, knocking over the toothbrush holder. When you looked again, your reflection was normal. But the sink was dripping. Not water. Something thick. Something red. The last warning. You're reading this now because you're desperate. You've tried ignoring it. You've tried running, but it's still there. Always. Watching. Waiting. So listen carefully. The last shadow in your room isn't yours. And when you feel it standing behind you, when the air turns to ice, when the whispers crawl into your ears, don't turn around. It doesn't like being seen. And once you see, the last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around. The rain hammers against your window like impatient fingers tapping glass. The power's been out for hours, leaving only the flicker of a single candle to push back the darkness. You're alone, or at least you think you are, but something isn't right. The air feels thick, charged with an unspoken dread. You catch movement in the corner of your eye, a shadow shifting where it shouldn't. You tell yourself it's just the candlelight playing tricks. But then you notice something worse. The shadow doesn't move with you. It moves on its own. And the worst part, it's standing right behind you. A voice in your mind screams one warning: don't turn around. The shadow in the corner. It started on a night just like this, a storm raging outside. The the kind that rattles the walls and makes the trees groan like something alive. Emily had been curled up in bed, scrolling through her phone, trying to ignore the way the wind sounded like whispering voices. That's when she first saw it, a darkness in the corner of her room, deeper than the rest. At first, she thought it was just a trick of the light, a patch of black where the glow of her lamp didn't quite reach. But then it twitched. Her breath hitched. The shadow didn't belong to anything, not the dresser, not the chair, nothing. It was just there, a formless mass that seemed to ripple like ink in water. Emily sat frozen, her pulse pounding in her ears. "It's nothing," she told herself, "just your eyes playing tricks." But then the shadow stretched, elongating unnaturally, creeping along the wall toward her. She squeezed her eyes shut, counting to 3. When she opened them again, the shadow was gone. Relief flooded her, until she felt it. A presence, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Her skin prickled as the air grew colder, as if something had sucked the warmth right out of the room. And then a whisper, so faint she almost missed it, brushed against her ear. "Don't turn around." The thing behind you. Emily didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she swore she heard breathing that wasn't hers. The next morning she convinced herself it had been a nightmare, but the following night the shadow returned. This time it wasn't in the corner, it was behind her. She saw it in the reflection of her laptop screen, a tall, distorted figure standing just over her shoulder. Its edges wavered like smoke, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. She whipped around, heart slamming against her ribs, but there was nothing there, just empty space, until she turned back to the screen. The shadow was closer, now, its hollow eyes locked onto hers in the reflection. Emily slammed the laptop shut, her hands shaking. That's when she noticed something even more chilling. The shadow on the floor, the one cast by her desk lamp, wasn't hers. It was too tall, too thin, and it was reaching for her. The whisper in the dark. Days passed, and the shadow grew bolder. It no longer hid in reflections or corners. It stood at the foot of her bed, watching. Emily stopped sleeping, stopped eating. She could feel its gaze like icy fingers tracing her spine. And then came the whispers. "You see me. Don't look. I'm right behind you." She tried to ignore them, tried to pretend she wasn't losing her mind, but then she made a mistake. She turned around. The face in the darkness. The moment she turned, the room plunged into freezing darkness. The shadow lunged, its form twisting into something monstrous, a grinning maw of jagged darkness, eyes like bottomless pits. Emily screamed, but no sound came out. The thing wrapped around her, its presence suffocating, its voice slithering into her mind. "You weren't supposed to look." Then, silence. The final shadow. The next morning, Emily's roommate found her bed empty. The only trace left was a single sentence scrawled on the mirror in shaky handwriting. "The last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around." And if you're listening to this now, sitting alone in the dark, pay attention to the shadows around you, because one of them doesn't belong to anything in this room. One of them is standing right behind you. So whatever you do, don't turn around. The last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around. Part 4, The Whisper in the Dark. You thought you could outsmart it. After the night in the bathroom, after the broken mirrors and the claw marks on your door, you did what any sane person would do. You left. Packed a bag, got in your car, and drove until the sun came up. You told yourself it couldn't follow you. Shadows needed something to cling to, didn't they? Light, objects, a body to mimic. But you were wrong. The motel room was small, dimly lit, the kind of place where the wallpaper curled at the edges and the air always smelled faintly of mildew. You locked the door. You pushed the dresser in front of it. You even slept with the lights on, a flashlight clutched in your hand like a weapon. And for a while, it worked, until the third night. You woke to the sound of dripping, not rain, something thicker, slower. You sat up, heart hammering, and saw it pooling on the floor near the bathroom door, dark, shimmering, too much to be water. Then you realized it was coming from under the door. You didn't move, didn't breathe, because the shadow wasn't on the wall anymore. It was spreading across the floor, toward you. The thing in the mirror. You didn't sleep after that. You drove again, aimlessly, until exhaustion forced you to pull over at a rest stop. The bathroom mirror showed your reflection, pale, hollow-eyed, a stranger staring back. You splashed water on your face. And when you looked up, your reflection didn't. It kept its head down. Water dripped from its chin, but not water. Something black, tar-thick. You stumbled back, crashing into the stall behind you. The reflection's head snapped up, its mouth stretching into a grin that split its face in two. Then the lights went out. Something grabbed your wrist. You screamed, yanking free, bolting for the door. Behind you, the mirrors shattered, one after another, like something was moving through them, hunting you. You didn't stop running until you were back in your car, tires screeching as you peeled onto the highway. But in the rearview mirror, just for a second, you saw it, sitting in the back seat. The offer. You couldn't keep running. It was everywhere now, in reflections, in dreams, in the corner of your vision every time you blinked. And then one night, it spoke. Not in your head, not in a whisper, but from your own mouth. You were brushing your teeth, staring at your exhausted reflection, when your lips moved on their own. "Let me in," your voice said. But it wasn't you. You spat into the sink, black sludge. That's when you understood. It didn't just want to follow you, it wanted to wear you. The choice. You found the old woman in the woods, the one people whispered about, the one who knew things. She took one look at you and sighed. "It's already inside," she said. "Not all the way, but enough." She gave you a choice, a ritual, a way to trap it, but it would cost you. "It'll take something," she warned. "Something you'll miss." You didn't care. You'd give anything. That night you lit the candles, drew the symbols, said the words. The shadow screamed, and when it was over, silence. You thought you'd won, until you looked in the mirror and realized you couldn't remember your own name. Norbe. Epilogue. What did you lose? Right?